Here's how to make more money using AI. Now, you might have heard of this phenomenon happening in the market right now in real time, and that's called artificial intelligence. So when we look at the root of artificial intelligence, there are many different things that it was designed to do, and some things that over time people were like, okay, I can actually apply this to my business. I can have AI do this. I can have it handle this aspect of my business. And so in turn, many CEOs, entrepreneurs, investors are finding ways to make more money using artificial intelligence. So I'm going to give you guys some pointers in this video. When you analyze a business, you can see some areas may need a little bit more help than others when it comes to AI. But overall, I am looking for ways to completely integrate AI into every aspect of the business. One of my goals professionally, and I don't know if I'll ever achieve it, by the way, but my goal is to find a way to implement AI so much into a company that it doesn't even need human intervention. So a fully AI run business. And so this is a goal of mine that I'm working on to see if I can even accomplish it. But of course, over time, we'll see if this is actually a possibility. So in the current state of where we're at right now, I would say there are probably about 3 categories of what AI can do. So there are things that AI can do really, really well, exceptionally well, let's say. And then there are things AI can do fairly well. And then there are things that AI can do just barely. So it can kind of start the process, and then we have to hand it over to a human in order to complete whatever the AI is working on. When we analyze a business, we have different things that have to be controlled, or different levers that we can pull in order to be more profitable, right? The goal of a business is to make a profit. So if we want to make money with the business, we have to think about what are the different levers and what do they look like? Well, the most simple way to look at this is profit and losses. So what things are profits, or what things are revenues, and what things are expenses? If we have our gross revenue, let's say $1 million, right? We have $1 million business, it's $1 million in revenue, and that can potentially be increased. We might think, how can I use AI to increase this revenue? And we'll talk about that in a moment. And then the other aspect of it is, what expenses do I have as a business? Let's say my expenses are $600,000 a year. So $1 million in revenue and $600,000 in expenses every single year. And by the way, that's a pretty good margin. Like a 40% margin is pretty healthy. And some businesses will never make 40%, by the way. Some businesses, I'd say few businesses make more than 40%, but most businesses are kind of somewhere between 20, 30, maybe something like that. That's a more realistic margin. But let's say our expenses are so low that we're only spending about $600,000 a year on this $1 million company, which, by the way, if anybody's here that's watching this that you've been in business before, you know that that's not actually very realistic. But I'm using this example just to show what could be done potentially. In the first year of business, or let's say it takes you 2 years to make your first $1 million, you're reinvesting a lot of that money. So yes, even though it wasn't technically an expense, it got reinvested, and you're not actually pocketing $400,000. That's not very realistic. Unless you're in an extremely high margin business, which again, then it's a different story. Now, when we go into business, we have these 2 things, right? 2 categories: revenues and expenses. And so we can use AI to try to mitigate some of these expenses as well. AI can potentially increase revenue. It can help us be more profitable. It can help us do all these different things as a business to drive more revenue. And then also on the expenses side, if we bring down expenses as much as we can, that will also contribute to profitability. If you don't touch expenses at all and you just bring your revenue up, you will probably become more profitable in some cases, because you do not have to make the same expenses, because you don't have to spend more money in every situation. So let's say you have 100 clients and that's how you made your $1 million. Well, if you got 10 more clients, you made what, 1.1 million? It doesn't mean you're gonna have to hire 10% more support staff, right? Doesn't mean your expenses are going to increase automatically to 660,000. Probably won't increase at all. So in this case, yes, you would have been more profitable. You might have to spend a little bit more money on the expenses side, but it is possible. And I've seen it happen in many businesses where you don't even have to touch that. So now we can talk about how AI can do some of these things. When it comes to these 2 categories, I kind of bucket it into different categories of AI applications, and then you can go in and do a deep dive and look at the different tools that do these specific tasks. So on the revenue side, we have AI tools that can help produce more content, right? So it's overall content creation. That's one category. It can write your ads for you. It can write your scripts. It can create videos for you. Whatever you need AI to do, it can already do those things. In fact, my team has already created videos of me saying things that I never actually said, because it's literally an AI tool that creates a fake image of me saying whatever they have in the script. It's pretty cool. And as it gets better and better and better, it's going to be indistinguishable eventually. Now, of course, there are their own dangers with that, but at the end of the day, that's still something that we can leverage to make our business more revenue. Now, we have the content creation. The second category that I look at, and by the way, this is not an exhaustive list by any means, but these are some things that I primarily focus on, at least at this point in my business, that I've been able to use to generate more revenue. The second category is going to be leverage, and that's leverage in the human capital sense. So let's say I need to do X amount of work, and normally would take 10 people. Well, it's likely that I could use AI to do the work of 9 people and just have one person managing that AI tool. So for example, I know a lot of my clients, they use it to prepare like the framework of whatever they're working on. So some of these people, they're lawyers. And so if they are creating something, some legal documents, they can ask AI to generate a first draft of everything they need to do. So they draft everything is created for them, and then they go in as the human reviewer. And by the way, this means that they could literally work on 5 to 10 times the cases that they normally work on because everything's being drafted for them. And then the attorney actually goes in, or the associate, they go in and they review it and make sure that everything is working correctly and that AI didn't mess anything up and that the references are real and all that stuff. I know we had some issues with AI potentially creating not real cases and referring to them in its own paperwork. Once these documents are reviewed, then it goes on to the next step. So that's another case where we have leverage being applied to generate more revenue, because now this law firm can take on more clients. And the third category on the revenue side is efficiency. So if you see something that's being done in the business and it can be done faster, maybe contracts can be sent out faster, they can be prepared faster, like a sales contract, maybe client communications can be done faster with prospects. I know we use that as a sales tool actually to generate conversations with prospects. And instead of a sales team going out and contacting every single person one by one, we have an AI tool that it can literally contact hundreds of thousands of leads at the same time. And then the most interested and the most qualified leads are passed on to our closing team so that they're not spending a bunch of time just reaching out to people or talking to people who are not that qualified. So it's a great way to generate more revenue. Now on the expenses side, we also have a couple categories. So the first one, again, is leverage, but it's leverage in a different sense. So let's say we have the customer service or the fulfillment side. So this is more sales, marketing, and then we have the expenses, which is fulfillment and all that stuff. So if we have operational expenses, we have for every 10 clients, we have one person, one support staff. Well, what if instead of this one support staff just managing an email and responding to these people, we had AI do that for them? So this AI can be trained with different scripts, with different information, and it can answer all of these questions very intelligently. So now I don't have to hire a person at all. Maybe if I have 100 clients, I used to have 10 support staff. Now I can have one support staff overviewing all the conversations and everything that's happening. And AI is actually communicating with each one of these clients, and it's super responsive, super fast. So that right there just cut my expenses. It's significantly less expensive to do that. So that's more on the support side. We just talked about support. And then we have also fulfillment, which is sometimes it's internal fulfillment, sometimes it's fulfillment to clients. So let's say one of the things that we do is we edit our content, we edit our videos. That can be fully replaced by an AI tool. And instead of hiring an editor or a video editing person or a whole team even, you can have AI do that for you. You can write the scripts for you, it can edit the videos for you, and it can prepare it to be posted on social media. It can do a lot of the admin work. So, some companies are actually even hiring like a position. Let's say they need a VP of marketing. They can replace that position with AI. And so now they're saving on a potentially large salary, 200, 300, 400,000, with an AI tool that can do the work that this person would have been doing. So these are the two categories. Remember, we have the revenue side and then we have the expenses side, and then a couple of potential applications for you guys to make more money in your business using AI. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.